Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you are all fine. In our previous chapter, we learnt about the first unit, which was the introduction to the modern world or modern Europe. You can say it was mostly confined to the Europe only. Now our second chapter is Industrial Revolution. So let's travel through the time with the chapter Industrial Revolution. In this chapter we will learn about many things. We will learn about the meaning of Industrial Revolution. We will learn about its origins. We will learn about the causes, spread, and we will also learn about the meaning of imperialism, which I have mentioned here. The name of the chapter is Industrial Revolution and Imperialism. Before going into the chapter thoroughly, first we will discuss about three main systems which were prevailing which brought the Industrial Revolution in Europe. The first one is domestic system. As you know, for most of the human history, people have had only you can say few basic needs like food, shelter, and clothing. So for these things agriculture was one of the important tool. Agriculture was the main occupation for the people during the medieval period as well as ancient period, because it was satisfying their needs. Everyone was satisfied with their you can say needs and requirement by themselves only. So suppose a family was having their own set of carpenters. Similarly, one family was having their own set of weavers and blacksmiths, etc. So a craftsman or artisan usually worked with his family members and employed simple tools to create goods at home itself. So they were making the tools for themselves only. Sometimes they used to sell it to the people also. That means every family was having their craftsmen or skilled workers at home. This particular system for making goods at home and consuming them for their own selves is known as domestic system. Making goods for ourself only, for own self only. That is called domestic system. But this domestic system changed into putting out system and factory system. I'll explain it as well. As in our first unit, that means the modern world, I told you about a particular topic, that was voyages of discovery. When the modern period started in Europe, one of the things we started in Europe was the voyages of discovery. People started discovering the new lands, and this discovery led to the discovery of many lands. And in the continent, you can say in the continents of Africa, Asia, Latin America, North America, and South America, they started discovering many lands. And when they discovered these lands, they were using them as the means of raw material as well as the market for their finished goods. They were bringing the raw material from these lands and making the products at home. Suppose they were bringing the spices from Indian subcontinent or Asia, and then they were making the powdered spices at home and selling us at the double price. They were taking the chilies from here and they were making the chili powder in the England and selling us at the double price. So these lands were serving as a market as well as the means of raw material. So what happened later, when the discovery of these lands happened, it increases the trade and commerce, obviously, because the trade and commerce increased because they were selling their goods and they were bringing the raw material from these lands. And this particular system which was prevailing in Europe, the domestic system, could not cope up with the demands of these new lands. It could not fulfill the demands of these finished products to make the finished products fastly. So they started this domestic system changed into putting out system to meet the demand. You can say to meet the demand for more goods and new system, you can say to meet the demands of for the more goods. A new system emerged which was known as putting out system. So when the putting out system was introduced, in this system the merchant supplied raw material to the artisan and later sold the finished products in the markets. The putting out system replaced old domestic system, and ultimately this led to the foundation. You can say putting out system is the center between the domestic system as well as factory system. So putting out system ultimately laid the foundation for the factory system. These were the basic three systems, and these were the basic systems behind the industrial revolution. So industrial revolution started in around 1750, and it started, you can say, it brought the changes within 100 years, from 1750 to 1850. So from about 1750 to 1850, which I told you, in Great Britain, a revolutionary transformation in the manufacturing sector took place, which was known as Industrial Revolution. So the Industrial Revolution was a radical transformation. It was because of the Renaissance movement as well. I told you earlier, because the people who were teaching in the Western Roman Empire fled to the different parts of Europe, and some of them reached to the England as well. They started teaching the people, and this led to the radical thinking development of radical thinking among the common people. They started developing the scientific mindset, and this led to the Industrial Revolution. So you can say Industrial Revolution was a radical transformation which changed the entire economy and the society of 18th century England, and later on it spread throughout the different parts of the world. I have mentioned certain features which we will discuss in this chapter also about Industrial Revolution. The first feature which I have mentioned here was handmade manufacturing was replaced by the power driven machinery. This is already, we discussed about this already in the domestic system, because the domestic system was changed into factory system. Those people who were making the handmade manufacturing goods, who were making the goods with their hands, they were replaced by the power driven machinery. They were replaced by the machines. Similarly, the second one which I have mentioned was small scale production was transformed into large scale production. You can say a blacksmith was making a sword or a pin in his home only, but it was taking him a lot of time to make a pin at home. Now they made the factories, and which led to the manufacturing of hundreds and thousands of pins in a day. So this was the second feature. Third feature, which was the raw material and the means of production used in the factories were not owned by the workers. They were owned by the people who were known as capitalists, or you can say they were also known as merchants or traders. These actually, Industrial Revolution led to the rise of capitalism. I will tell you about the capitalism as well later in the video. We will discuss about it as well. These are the three main basic features which led to these were the basic reasons behind the Industrial Revolution. You can say these were the features of Industrial Revolution as well. Now you must be thinking, why Industrial Revolution started in Europe? Started in England, not in Europe, sorry, in England. So continent was Europe, but country was England. I'll tell you about that also. Number first, new scientific knowledge. So there were many factors that led to the, you can say, that led to the revolution of Industrial Revolution in England only. Number one was new scientific knowledge. The increase in the demand for manufacturing goods encouraged the technological innovation. Some of the inventions that led to the Industrial Revolution during that time, as I already told you, remember in the last chapter we discussed about the printing press. Printing press was developed during that time only, and later on there were many other inventions. So there are many inventions which happened during that time. Suppose the flying shuttle. It was invented by John Kay that time. Similarly, telegraph, it was just you can say invented by Morse. Similarly, telephone, Alexander Graham Bell. This was the new scientific knowledge during that time. Second one was agricultural revolution. Earlier, the people were working in the fields. Suppose you can say they were growing the crops in the fields. Now these people were replaced by the power driven machinery, because the agriculture was also taken over by the machines. This led to the increase in the production in the agricultural field as well. When the agricultural production increased, this led to the agricultural revolution in England. I am talking about England. So the agricultural revolution in England of the mid 17th century paved the way for Industrial Revolution, because the increase in the raw material happened, and this led to the Industrial Revolution.